Hello, hello. Good evening from Dubai, and good morning if you are somewhere just waking up and catching up on this webinar. And good evening if you are somewhere in the evening around the world and also catching up on this webinar. Today is a very special day because it's a rerun of last week, and I'm gonna talk about this in a bit. But first of all, let me tell you what today is gonna look like. So we're gonna be staying together for around 60 minutes, and the topic that we're gonna talk about today is self-confidence and self-esteem. And I'm going to give you a lot of tips on how to boost self-confidence and how to boost self-esteem. And I want you to stick to the end because at the end of the webinar, I have an invitation for you, a very special invitation for you. So as every Thursday, this is my go-to evening because I do this webinar in the evening and I can't really wait until it's 10 p.m. so that I am here with you. What I want from you is, please, if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask them. And if you are watching the replay, you can always ask the questions on the Facebook group, or you can send me an email. And I want you to also, if you feel like you want to share anything, please go ahead and put it in the webinar chat. It's activated. You can only send to me, I think, but you can, yeah, I think you can send to everyone also. So feel free to, share your information. If you have any questions, also go ahead and share them, and I'll attend to them later. So without further ado, I want to tell you about what happened last week, because this is the funniest part of how you accept your vulnerability and how really you rise into your person and you rise above your vulnerability and your mistakes, So last week when I did this webinar, it was all about self-confidence and how to boost self-confidence and how to boost and higher your, if you have a low self-esteem. So what happened last week is, in the middle of the webinar, I realized that I was probably not recording it, and it didn't even cross my mind to record it again. Let me just double check. Yes, we are recording. Perfect. Okay. So I just went with the flow and I finished the webinar. And when I switched off the Zoom, the webinar was not recorded. And because I was talking about self-confidence and self-esteem, it made me actually laugh because, if I was years ago and this happened to me, I would have really, really felt so bad. And I would have really, I wouldn't have known what to do. Okay. But this time, instead of feeling bad about it, and instead of feeling, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I actually really used self-compassion, which is one of the main important things or tips that I'm going to give you today to practice to give yourself a boost of self-confidence. So I used self-compassion with myself, and I actually excused myself, and I said to myself, it's okay, mistakes happen. So what? You can live with it and people can live with it, and you're just going to do a rerun because I did not give you the replay last week, and this is exactly what is happening today. So this is just a small story to start by telling you how you can simply, instead of feeling down if you make a mistake or really feeling like there's a problem with your confidence, use it as a boost to push you up and pull you up and bring you in, put you in the right mindset or in a good headspace. So I shared a story last week, and this week I'm going to share the same story, but I'm going to share also another story just to tell you how low self-esteem manifests itself in people, and how I got out of it, because I realized also that I used to have it. I used to have it when I was really, really young. And I don't know what I did then to get me out of it, but I know that I got out of it. So now I know what I did, but then I didn't really know because I was very young. But I want to share first a story of a friend of mine. So this friend of mine, she used to work with me in the corporate world, and I love her to bits and pieces. She is a sweetheart, like probably for me, maybe the kindest person I have ever met would be that person, you know? And she was to me an amazing person. She used to work in communications. So communications is not a job that you can do without being confident, as I'm pretty sure you are aware. So for you to be able to, work in this kind of field, you really want to have that self-confidence. You really want to be able to talk to people, to face people. Your self-confidence supposed to be really high. And to me, every time I looked at her, she, like in her job, she used to do an excellent work. She used to be perfect at what she did. But every time we sit and we talk, she would always go to the place where she would say things like, I'm not beautiful, people don't like me, and I don't feel good about myself. And to me, to be quite honest, I used to see her like really this very beautiful human being inside out. And it used to really bug me and bother me that she would feel this way. And I would always challenge her. I would always tell her, hey, come on, look at you. I mean, look at yourself in the mirror. You're beautiful. You're amazing. And look at the job that you do, and look at the people that you face, and look at the things that you overcome. Why do you say these things about yourself? It never really made sense to me. When I started this journey, and when I started understanding why people really actually go through this kind of self-talk, negative self-talk about who they are, about what they can do and what they cannot do, I sort of understood where she was coming from. And I realized why she used to say the things that she used to say. And now, if I think about it, I understand that when at that time, what she used to do is the way she looked at herself, she would see herself this way, is because she would always compare herself to other women in the corporate world who are doing a similar job or are doing a different job, but who look completely different than her, who are taking care of themselves more than her, who are watching their physique more than her. And this made her feel bad about herself. When I looked at her, I never saw that. I only saw the great woman that she was. But again, we want to remember that as the way we look at people does not necessarily mean that this is the way they see themselves. We can be looking at people and really considering them amazing and the best out there, but we don't know really what happens behind closed doors, and how they talk to themselves, how they treat themselves, how they see themselves. So this is what used to happen with my friend. And what bothers me, if I only wish I knew then what I know now, so that I could have given her the tips that I'm going to share with you today. So for me, it's like, if only I knew, I would have really been more of a help to her by giving her those tips, instead of me telling her, what are you talking about? You look beautiful, you're amazing, you're a sweetheart, you're great at what you do. Sometimes this is not what people want. This is not what people want to hear. Sometimes people really want something that they can work with, not something that you see in them. So this is why today I'm like, I feel really, really very, I wish I could have been in my shoes today, then, so that I can help her and support her the way she really needed that support, not the support that I was giving her. And I thought I was doing really well. I thought I was really giving her the best support that I could, you know? And the other story that I want to share with you today is a story about me. I only remembered this today, in fact. I used to be in a school. Well, I talked about this before, but today I remembered that this story is really very valid when it comes to me and my self-confidence and my self-esteem. So when I used to be in school, that's from the age of 4 to the age of, if I remember well, either 15 or 16. So I used to be in a school that is French school back home where I come from. And French was my second language, right? And my parents used to teach in that school. It was a private school, very expensive school, okay? And in my head, I always thought that people around me were like, not people, I'm talking about the students, obviously. So my friends in school, I always thought that they must think that I am studying in that school for free because my parents are teaching in that school. So in my mind, I already gave my head or my brain, I already gave it a very specific place to be in. I told myself a story that I am not good enough because I am studying for free. And this is what my friends are probably seeing. So I told myself the story. I never asked any of my friends if they think I am studying for free. It was a story that I told myself as a young kid. And I grew up with this story. Growing up with this story made me become very, very isolated from everyone in the school, because you want to know that this private school was actually very expensive. And every single one studying in that school comes from a very wealthy family. So I already set myself in a place where I made myself smaller. I'd made myself less than every single one of them. And I exercised that in all my being. Like, I really embodied that persona. I really embodied that character of being less than every other student in my class. And that made me become a very isolated person. It made me become an introvert throughout almost all my school years. Like, throughout almost all my school years, I maybe made 1 or 2 friends. If I tell you today the number of friends that I have, you would be shocked. And some of them are even friends that I have reconnected with from my school days. But in my school days, this is exactly what I was telling my head. I am not good enough. I am less than every single one of them. No one's going to look at me and think, oh, she is wealthy. Oh, she is beautiful. Oh, she is intelligent. Oh, she is smart. These were exactly the words that I used to tell myself. I used to tell myself that I'm not pretty. I used to tell myself, like, if I had a crush on a boy, I used to say to myself, he's certainly never going to look at me. Who am I for him to look at me? Look at how important he is. Look at how all the girls are looking at him. There's no way on earth he's going to look at me because I'm really, really ugly, and I am, less than every single one of them. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough intelligence. Although I used to be smart, I wasn't the best student out there, but you know, I was good. So these were the thoughts that I used to tell myself when I was a kid. Now, I remember what happened later when I got to 16. I left that school and I changed schools to a new school where my father, because my parents stopped teaching in that school eventually and they had their own job, they moved to a different job. And my father became a principal in a public school, right? So when I was 16, I was not really doing well at all, and the material became so difficult for me. I really was not happy in that school at all. So I asked my parents to change schools, and they agreed that I would change school and I would go and move from this school, which was French, to a pure English school, which is the public school. So from a private to a public, from a French as a second language to English as a second language, right? So completely the opposite. And the only difference, major difference, was in the new school, which is the public school. My father was the principal. So the minute I went into that school, I already had a different status. I already felt like I am confident. I can own the world because my father is the principal of the school. So see the different thoughts that I was telling myself, the different ideas that I was having in my brain to give myself the reasoning to be a different person. So when I moved to the new school, I hardly recognized myself. I became that outgoing person. I became friends with everybody because, you know, and everybody made me feel special because I was, after all, the principal's daughter, right? So everybody made me feel like I'm something. I'm wow, you know, she's something. She's amazing. She's the principal's daughter. And look at her, you know? And I took that and it kind of made me a new person. It elevated everything about my confidence. So that person who used to be in the previous school, completely gone. It's like she never existed. And now there's a new version of me, that version that is outgoing, that version that is laughing all the time, that is ready to make friends all the time, that started having, you know, group gatherings at the recess, you know, when we go out and just have fun. While in my previous school, I used to, at the recess, I used to always sit alone and maybe in the corner and not talk to anyone. So this just tells you a little bit of how sometimes our interpretation or our perception of everything around us makes a huge difference. So when I was in that school, I perceived myself as less than because these are the ideas that I was putting in my head, thinking that this is how my friends would look at me because they are richer, they are smarter, they are, you know, paying full tuition for the school, although nobody knew whether I was paying full tuition or not. I didn't even know until later. I figured out, you know, and my parents were paying. It's not like I was studying for free, but this is what my mind was telling me. And that's how I lived it was my whole childhood, you know? And the thing is, in my childhood, and I like my generation, I can bet my life on it that my generation never had the chance, especially in the culture where I come from. We never had the chance to actually tell our parents what we are feeling. And even if we had told them, we would always be either shut down or made to be feel even worse than we are already feeling, you know. So as children, I remember myself and my siblings, we never spoke about this, or we never talked about this to our parents or told our parents how we are feeling, or the things that, you know, we want or we don't want. So it was always like a taboo for us to talk about this. So keeping that as a secret, it also makes us, when we are kids, it also shapes a lot in our personality. And this is why we grow with a lot of self-confidence issues. Now, one of the major reasons why we develop self-confidence issues is really when we are growing up as kids, and how this is the environment around us is, and how it's built. And when I say it's built, I'm talking about humans, I'm not talking about buildings. Okay, so the way our parents treat us when we are children is very important. And I always say this: if you are a parent today and with this new generation, please be careful. Please know how you are addressing your kids. Please, especially in our society, which is kind of a closed society. I don't think it is anymore, but it still has those ramifications that we are carrying with us from our own upbringing. So it's important that when we are talking to kids, to make sure that we make them feel that confidence, to make sure that we make them feel that they are strong enough, that they have that big persona, that big person, that big character, you know, and not to shut them down, not to shut them up, you know. I remember when I was a kid, every time I wanted to say something, I would be either shut down, or, you know, what do you know? Who made you Einstein? Or what do you care? Or what do you know? You know nothing, you know? These are words that I used to hear when I was a kid. Imagine what that was doing to my self-confidence. Now, I was very lucky. And I think I was very lucky because this is my mission. And I realized that I needed to get out of those situations early enough in my life so that I can do what I'm doing today. And I didn't let that self-confidence issue, or the low self-esteem issues that I used to have, I didn't let them stop me. I actually faced them head on and fast and early, so that I can do what I'm doing today. And I had to go through different experiences to learn everything else that I've learned. But this experience and helping me and getting me out of my low self-esteem and my low self-confidence, thank God it did not take anything from me other than my childhood, which is a lot if we want to really talk about it. It's a lot that we grow up and really our childhood is somehow robbed of us, you know. But I think this is a different topic that we can talk about in another webinar, and I'm so happy to talk about it as well, how our childhood, how not living our childhood affects us when we are grown-ups, and how it like the different things it will inflict on us in our life. So if I had known when I was that person, when I was young, and if I had known with my friend what I know today, I would have told her all of these tips that I'm going to share with you. So just to remind you, when you are feeling low and when you are feeling down, this is something This is natural. We are human beings after all. We all fall in these instances, in these moments where we, feel low. And that's only normal. What is not normal is beating ourselves up for feeling low. So that is the one thing that you want to always remember. And this is my first tip to you: to understand and to practice self-compassion. What does self-compassion mean? Self-compassion is simply being um, being good to yourself, being compassionate with you to start with. We talk about compassion, and I'm sure a lot of us are very compassionate to other people, and we care about other people, and we want to help everyone out there. But what happens is most of the time, we forget to be compassionate with ourselves. We forget to be good to ourselves. We forget to love who we are. So this is the first tip that you want to always remember, and that I can assure you will boost your self-confidence big time. If you feel low, if you feel down, if you make a mistake, and making mistakes is like the most normal thing that you're gonna face in life is making mistakes. You know why? Because this is what's gonna teach you. If you don't make mistakes and you are always living in the same level, first of all, your life is going to be very boring. Let's face it. Okay. It's going to be really boring, and nobody wants to live a boring life, right? But making mistakes, make no mistake that it is something important. And this is what makes you build that personality. This is what makes you build confidence, because when you make a mistake and you learn from it and you stand back up, this is your boost of confidence. But for you to be able to do that, you want to be self-compassionate. You want to be okay with making a mistake. Just exactly like what happened with me last week when I made the mistake of not recording the webinar. So I made a mistake. So what? It's not the end of the world. It's okay. Do it. Tap yourself on the shoulder and say to yourself that it's okay, and be compassionate to who you are. So we all may make mistakes. The most important thing is how we stand back up. There's something that I also want to talk about. I'm not sure if I talked about it last week, but I want to talk about it this week. We are trapped today. We are trapped in a very, very toxic space, which is the space of social media. Why do I say toxic? Because today, when we look at social media, most of what we see is gold. And there's a very, very famous saying which says, not all that glitters is gold. But today, when we look at social media, we are only seeing glitter. We are only seeing, the top of the top and the best of the best, and, and the most famous and the richest and the most beautiful and the fittest. And, I don't know, but everything is so exaggerated. Everything is so, to me, unreal. So that's why, for me, social media is a very toxic space. Why? Because if we are always connected to social media, and if we are always following and looking at people who are sharing only happy moments, only beautiful things, as if life is only rose and pink and beautiful and wow and amazing, and we start comparing our life to that life. First of all, let me tell you, for sure, that life is not as glittery as it is. What you see on social media is not necessarily really the full picture. You have to remember that life has many different aspects. And if we are stuck in social media and we are only comparing ourselves to this, and we are comparing, the fact that we are comparing is, to start with, wrong. We don't want to compare. Comparison is one of the biggest limitations that we put ourselves in. And it's one of the biggest limitations that hinder us from actually developing and becoming better, you know? So try to avoid that. Don't go into comparison. And really be smart, be selective. When you follow, if you really have to follow, make sure that you make good choices for yourself. So this is a tip that's not related directly to self-confidence, but it does make a difference, and it does boost our confidence or our self-esteem when we are following normal people, when we are following people who are just like us, who are going through the same things that we are going through. And that's why, for me, when we are in that place, it's important to remember that these people, no matter what they are showing, this is not about it all. There's a lot that is not coming in front of the camera, but that is actually happening, because these people are also normal people. They're just like us. So keep that in mind. And please, please do not compare yourself to anyone. Do not compare, do not put yourself in that place where you want to, the only person you want to compare yourself to is you 1 second ago. That's it. You are in no competition with anyone outside of you. The only person that you want to become better than is you. You want to figure yourself out. You want to find within you how you can be better than you. That's how you want to look at it. So again, the first tip that you want to always remember to keep yourself in a high confidence state is, please, please, please be self-compassionate and practice self-compassion. Very, very important. The second tip I want to give you today is, I want you to think of the story that you tell yourself. Whatever is happening with you in your life, I want you to be aware of those thoughts that come to your mind. What are you saying to yourself? What's the story that you are telling yourself? If that story is a negative story, change it. Change the story. Because everything that happens in your mind, these thoughts that come to you, they are yours. They are not somebody else's. They are your thoughts. You allow them. You create them. So instead of telling yourself negative things, instead of telling yourself, oh, I don't look beautiful. Oh, I'm not smart enough. I think I'm too young to be able to do this. Or, oh my God, I'm too old. I can't do this. Instead of telling yourself these things, why don't you tell yourself good things? Oh my God, I look so beautiful today. Look at me. When I look at myself in the mirror, hey, I'm going to conquer the world today. Today is my day. I am smart. I am beautiful. Affirmations are, they exist for a reason, and you want to use them, because affirmations will help you change the story in your mind. Alone, they're not enough, yes, but they will help you change the story instead of you going, because they're both affirmations, by the way. If you say, I can't do this, you're affirming to yourself that you can't do something. So instead of using negative affirmations, use positive affirmations. Instead of thinking in a negative way, instead of putting yourself down, Pick yourself up. Change the dialogue that is happening in your head. Change that inner discussion. What are you telling yourself? Let me know if you ever go through this. Do you ever like stop and ask yourself these questions, like, what am I thinking? Okay, let me change this. Do you ever go through this? Let me know in the chat. I'd like to hear from you. And I also want to hear from you if you ever exercise self-compassion, or if you even, knew that it is sometimes that simple. And I want to challenge you, actually. I want you to do it. I want you to go ahead and try to think of, thoughts or ideas that you want to talk about, and put yourself in that mindset. Let me know how it works. Exercise self-compassion. And tell me in the group, tell me here in the chat how it feels like when you exercise this, how it feels like when you change the way you talk to yourself. It's, I have a friend of mine, she's a healer, just like me. And every time we are together, maybe we're like, I don't know, taking courses, or we are attending sessions, or we're doing sessions, or just having, a talk together. Every time we talk, the way she talks to herself, about herself, or about anything, is always negative. And then, as healers, we have this, we use this method of, so that we can ignore or go past a word that we are saying, or, as if it didn't happen. We say, cancel that. So if I say something bad, for example, about myself, I say, cancel that. So as if it did not happen, so that my subconscious mind thinks that, okay, this has not happened. So it ignores it. It literally cancels it. But the fact that I have to say cancel that means that I'm already in the wrong mindset. It means that I'm already saying bad things to myself, about myself. So always remember to change that story. Okay, make sure that you keep your stories in a good place. Okay, so remember that you want to change that dialogue. Be aware of your thoughts. That's number one. And remember always, awareness is 50% of the problem solved. So the minute you are aware that you are saying negative things to yourself, now you know that, okay, I'm going to change this, and then change it. And this, I can also assure you that it will boost your self-confidence. The last thing that I want to mention about the last tip, it's not the last thing, but it's the last tip that I want to give you about how to raise your self-confidence and your self-esteem. And that's basically figure out what your inner gems are. Every single one of us has their uniqueness. Every single one of us has got their strengths and their beautiful traits. I call them gems. Okay, I call you pearls because I'm the mother of pearls, but I call these gems. These are your gems. These are your authentic traits, the things that are unique to you, the things that make you the special person that you are. Find them. Find out what your beautiful potential is, because again, I can assure you that every single person out there has got a beautiful potential and has got those gems lying somewhere in there. So you want to do that self-search to find really what are those hidden treasures that you have that make you special, that make you who you are. that make you your authentic self. So you want to figure those out and you want to bring them out to the world, because what good are they if they are still hidden? How are they serving you? So if you are someone who is amazing at comforting people, you want to be that person. You want to exercise that. And imagine that this is something that you discover about yourself, but you've never done it before, but you realize that, oh my God, I have this. This is an amazing thing that I have. Why don't I ever use it? And then you start using it with people around you. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to be thankful. They're going to tell you, thank you so much for being there for me. And guess what that is going to do? That is going to boost your self-confidence. That is going to make you feel the special person that you are. You are already that special person. You just need that boost. Because a lot of us, unfortunately, we still live in a place where we need validation from everyone around us. We still think that it's not enough to be us, you know? But I tell you, if you go and dig inside and find out what it is that really triggers you, what it is that really moves you, what it is that really makes you the special person that you are, and just bring that out and experience it and exercise it and just live it, you know? And once you do, your whole life is going to change. You will not be comparing yourself to anyone. You will stop needing validation from other people, because having those already out there is something that already makes you feel so special, already makes you feel different, not different, already makes you feel authentic, because this is what it needs to be. This is how it should be. This is how it is. You are authentic. I am authentic. Every single one of us out there is authentic and is unique. No one in this world is the same as anyone else. I mean, even when you look at yourself in your body, look at my eyebrows. This one is different from this one. It is that detailed, people. So if these two eyebrows are completely different, how am I, as a human being, going to be the same as a different human being? I'm not. So all I need to do is find out what makes me so special, what makes me who I am, and live my true self, live my authenticity. It's very simple. Why is it not simple? When I say, for me, when I say it's very simple, I tell you, it used to be very difficult. It is very simple for me now because I've gone through a full transformation, because I've put myself, I've completely gone out of who I used to be. And I literally kind of revealed my true person. And for me to be able to do that, I had to do a lot of work. I had to get out of my limitations. I had to defy my own, I call them demons, but you know, my own negativity, my own negative thoughts. I had to go through like years of work to transform myself from where I used to be to where I am today. But that doesn't mean that it cannot be done. If I did it, anyone can do it. I am literally the most ordinary person you can ever meet. It's not like I am a genius, or, well, I am a genius, actually. Every single one of us is a genius, right? So, but I'm an ordinary person. And if I did it, so can you. So can anyone out there, you know? So I just want to make sure that you understand that this is not very difficult. It might take time. Yes. It might take work. Definitely it's going to take work. Is it doable? 100%. Can you change? Yes. What do you need to change? First of all, you need the will, because no one ever out there can make anyone else change if they don't want to change. So the first thing that you want, if this is what you want to be willing to change. So that's number one. The second thing, you want to put the work in. If you want to change, if you really want to be and find that authentic person that you are, find that authenticity within, and really just become the potential that you are. You know, you want to embody that potential. So all you need to do is actually, you want to take action. So you want to be ready for that change, willing to do that change, and you want to take the action. And then the rest will just fall in place. These are the two major things that you want to do. Just let me recap about self-confidence. I tend to go everywhere when I'm doing these webinars, because I feel like, I don't feel like, I am on a mission, people. This is what I do. Okay. And I want to make you feel good about yourself. I want to make sure that you know that you can do whatever you decide to do in your life. You are the boss. Always remember that. You are the boss. And remember what thoughts you are telling yourself up here. Okay? So remember, the first tip for you to boost your self-confidence: be self-compassionate. It's okay to make mistakes. Learn from them, move past them, and just move on, you know? Number two, rewrite your inner dialogue. Remind yourself what it is that you are saying to yourself. And if it's a negative thought, change it. Change it, and make sure you always use the positive affirmations and not the negative ones. I think I gave confidence affirmations, if I'm not mistaken, last week. So if you want it, let me know, send me a message on Facebook Messenger to give you those affirmations, and I can send them to you. So you can just use them all the time and just recite them to yourself. And the third thing I want to remind you is, always remember to dig and find those gems. What is it that really moves you? What is it that really makes you so special? Because remember, you are so special. I see that a lot of you are sending me a lot of messages. I'm going to attend to those at the end of the seminar. So stay with me, okay? Now, I asked you at the beginning of the seminar, of the webinar, to stay with me because I have an invitation for you. So here's my invitation for you. It's as simple as that. I told you that if you are ready to change, all you need to do is to be, like, if you want to change, all you need to do is to be ready. And all you need to do also is to act on it. So here's my invitation for you. If you are ready to change, and if you feel like this change, I can support you with that, all you need to do is let me know, and I will reach out to you. And my invitation for you is to have a call with me. Get on a call with me. Talk to me. Tell me what you are going through. Tell me what you desire. Tell me where you want to be. And I will give you tips, just like I'm giving you tips here. Throughout the call, I will give you tips. I will tell you what you can do here, what you can do there, depending on what we're talking about. And at the end of the call, if I feel like I am that person who can actually help you, I will tell you what it looks like to work with me. So this is my invitation for you. If you are ready to go through that transformation journey, if today this is what you want, this is what you desire, and all you need is maybe a hand to hold while you are doing this, while you are going through this transformation, just let me know and let's get on that call. We will talk. And again, I will give you a lot of tips. And if I'm the right person to help you, I'll let you know how it looks like. So remember, I will share the replay for this webinar tomorrow. And with that replay, I will share the link for my messenger. So just talk to me on my messenger and let's get on that call together And with that, I'm going to finish here. I'm going to stop recording, but I want you to stay with me because I have something special for you. So stay with me.